Let's take 15 fighters from both Jujutsu Kaisen and Sakamoto Days, put them on a randomizer wheel, and see who can come out on the other side with the most wins. And who else would be with me other than Broken Ronin?
Yep. Let's do it.
All right, we're spinning these wheels. Let's see what happens here. We've got Naobito Zenin versus Shishiba.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Interesting. It is interesting because Naobito is one of the faster characters, but he's also a character that I don't really associate with being particularly durable or really strong. It could in part be because the person he fought was Dagon, who was pretty tough and made like overtime Nanami not capable of dealing that much damage. But I will say that Naobito doesn't strike me. He's no Yuji, right? He's not someone that I'm looking like, damn, bro, he hits you, it's over, it's done. So it is very interesting, especially with projection sorcery being the kind of technique that is not just regular raw speed, but a particular hack that allows you to achieve that. And it's weird even for characters that are able to have that level of perception. Maki's able to achieve that through her incomplete kind of awakening, or she's able to just count out the frames, figure out the consistent number, and then react to that accordingly. Shishiba strikes me as the type of assassin that would be at the bare minimum like quick-witted enough to, if given the level of like perception speed, deal with that. I will say for someone like Naobito, it's pretty tough. Obviously you can say he's like faster than that like early Maki, catches bullet, whatever. You have weird statements in regards to projection sorcery, granted from a probably less competent projection sorcery user, where after building up my technique dozens of times, I reach like subsonic speeds, which is like not even bullet tier, which is just really funny. Gege is, gonna be honest, quite hilarious in regards to like how he consistently speed scales, I'm gonna be honest.
Do you think that is because this is pre-awakened Maki? This is before Maki Zenin technically awakened her like extra sensory sight, her hypervision, whatever you want to call it. So this is a Maki who's just basically using her normal perception. Is she just being able to pick up on Naoya's speed and Naoya's projection sorcery just because she's fast enough to perceive it? And if that's the case, if we would then give like someone like Shishiba probably similar speed to Maki, at least in that moment directly, if Shishiba is resourceful enough, he could probably keep up with the projection sorcery. I guess the problem would be because we see Naoya, who is just a lesser version of Naobito, all things considered, at least in this point in the story, is just tossing Maki through basically the entire Zenin headquarters, tossing her in the mountains, and Maki is able to endure that. So I guess the question would be, is Shishiba able to take a beating like that, even if he can keep up with projection sorcery and find some way to, like, you could give him that generosity and say he could somehow counter it with just his perception?
So in terms of just having the resources to do so, I don't think there's any reason that someone like Shishiba shouldn't be able to. Maki at that point is just doing it off of literally just seeing it. Her kinetic vision is just good enough to see the individual movements. I mean, granted, it's not to the same extent, but I mean, even Yuji, when he faces Naoya on a first encounter, is able to tell something's weird about the way he moves. Like, it isn't just regular high speed movement or whatever. So I don't doubt that after a few encounters, Shishiba would be able to pick up on that. The main issue that I think you have to grapple with is just, is Shishiba going to be able to deal with it after inevitably getting hit with like a couple of pretty mean hits to gauge the movements? For the most part, Sakamoto Days characters just deal with people that are really fast, really strong, or really skilled. This is just like another dimension of abilities that they never really encounter. Getting turned into frames and then body slammed at the speed of sound probably is not going to do very well for his stamina or his overall combative ability.
Overall cursed energy control, something that none of the Sakamoto Days characters are going to have access to, unfortunately. That would just tell me that most of the Jujutsu Kaisen characters are just going to be running on higher stamina bars, whereas the Sakamoto Days assassins are kind of just running off their regular human energy, whereas Naobito and other Jujutsu sorcerers' stamina is probably tied to their cursed energy, right?
That is, I mean, that's just the case, right? Shishiba running a mile, that's all him, bro. No additions, no extra energy sources to pull from. That's why I think maybe if he were to go into it already knowing he'd have a better shot, but I feel like Naobito is going to turn him into a frame like 10 times and that's just gonna be very, very bad damage for Shishiba, because Sakamoto Days characters can't heal, and any amount of real damage that Shishiba takes will be permanent and will be impairing his ability to react. You know, frame 1, he gets tapped, he tries to respond, gets turned into a frame, body slammed at the speed of sound. Okay, cool. That was weird. And he's not going to immediately pick up on that. I think he's going to get hit with that a couple of times before realizing. By the time he realizes what's going on, he's probably already sustained too much damage to react to it properly. It's kind of like that Maki dilemma where even despite her physical durability and resilience relative to someone like Naoya, even she realizes that the cut on her stomach that she got from Ogi will make a prolonged fight with Naoya a very, very bad idea.
When you see him when he's speed blitzing Dagon, of all people, he's able to damage Dagon enough to the point that like he breaks through his limbs and like opens up his torso with just a punch. And again, this is a Dagon who with just barely one punch almost killed Maki Zenin and was able to take multiple hits from Playful Cloud with Toji before he actually succumbed to his injuries. So Naobito's definitely at least he's hitting him higher than the kind of beating that Shishiba took from Kumanomi in the most recent chapters, and Shishiba was basically on death's door after that fight.
I don't think that Naobito has any one attack that's going to one-shot him or anything, but Shiba also doesn't have the power or ability to reverse that in any way. Like, one hit from Shishiba is not going to finish the fight with Naobito, and I think that it'll probably be like a mid-diff fight for him. I think even more so than just the speed, the nature of the technique and being able to turn him into a frame is just going to be the deciding factor. He's just going to wear him down.
Yeah, it's a shame. Shishiba is one of my more favorite characters. I'm sad. I was hoping that we could give him a win, but Naobito's just unfortunate. He's got one of those curse techniques that's kind of tough to deal with on like the normal front.
Yeah, Naobito definitely is an unlucky pull for Shishiba for sure.
So what we're gonna go ahead and be doing is I'm going to remove the winners. Whoever ends up having the least amount of characters by the end of it is going to be the one who wins the randomizer at the end. So up next, this is definitely an interesting one. We've got Nanami Kento, Ronan's favorite character.
Favorite character, man. The strongest in JJK, am I right, chat?
Going up against Taro Sakamoto himself.
Oh, that's not good for him. I fear my favorite character, Kento Nanami, is going to be definitely going to be getting punched in the face really, really quickly over and over and over. He might be cooked.
Yeah, that's the worst part about it is like where like. So again, like Nanami, as we've mentioned, Nanami is definitely, especially when you consider like the 7-3 ability, Nanami can do some serious damage to Sakamoto, but Sakamoto is just going to be clearing this man in the speed department without fail. I don't think there's a bone in Nanami's body that's going to be able to keep up with this with this demon, even in fat mode.
Sakamoto Days characters on average are significantly faster than JJK characters. You know, for all of my posturing, Nanami is really just your average, like kind of middle of the road grade 1. He hits really hard, which is cool. I definitely think if Sakamoto gets like ratio technique, yeah, whatever you just got hit with, bro, you say goodbye to it, right? You don't need that anymore. But the thing is just Nanami's speed feats are pretty sparse. You kind of have him fighting Mahito in tandem with Yuji. Maybe that implies a similar speed very early in the series. Outside of that, you just don't have all that much. Like, it's not like Nanami's particularly slow, but even if you say that equal to or even, you know, slightly greater than someone like Yuji in speed in Shibuya, you have Yuji having trouble reacting to piercing blood. Like, he's capable of doing it, but it's like he considers it a 50-50 on whether or not he can dodge an attack that moves at the speed of sound. Meanwhile, Sakamoto Days characters like shit out hypersonic attacks for breakfast, right? I mean, you have Sakamoto training by like, let me dodge these ricochet bullets. There's high levels of difference of speed, and the big thing that I think comes up in like Sakamoto versus JJK versus battles is the difference in durability. Getting blitzed in JJK, like to the extent that Sakamoto would do to Nanami, is very bad for their ability to resist, simply because without curse energy, they're just normal people, right? Or maybe in Nanami's case, he's like a fit normal person, you know what I mean, within the confines of whatever build you think he has. And I mentioned this in the video we did. The blood meteorite thing that Choso uses to blow out one of Yuji's organs, Choso just says if Yuji was at all on guard for it, it wouldn't have even pierced his skin. And that's Yuji, by the way, right? Someone who, without any cursed energy, is still superhuman, And he's the type of person that, because he got off guarded by something and wasn't able to properly counter with cursed energy, he just instantly loses, not loses, but he instantly takes massive damage where he otherwise shouldn't have. And Nanami just doesn't have that advantage.
Do you think that Sakamoto having like a no kill clause would like cause any issues? Because obviously Sakamoto, if he's not able to actually do like a killing blow to Nanami, and Nanami with just being able to use his curse energy to try to possibly just reduce most of the damage that actually comes his way, Nanami is swinging with characters like, I mean, he survives Jogo's fire blast, so Nanami is also pretty durable as well. It's going to take a couple blows from Sakamoto, especially considering Sakamoto is just going to be bare-handing it, if not using any weapons that he has in the environment to help him. You know, Nanami does have the 7-3 that can break any of the weapons. Now, if Nanami's in overtime, pulling what he pulls against Mahito, where he destroys the, let's say the setting that they're in is some kind of sewer area or where they're enclosed in an area where Nanami can break down the building that's on top of them, and they're literally just fighting in the debris, and Nanami's much more likely to survive. I'm literally, the amount of generosity I have to give to Nanami here. Like, do you think there's like any sense of like Nanami like landing like a
if you put Sakamoto's kid and wife on the battlefield, right?
Oh
you
my
have
God.
Nanami like rush over to attack them. Maybe Sakamoto on some like Piccolo protecting Gohan shit like takes damage because he gets hit. But in all honesty, the speed difference is really hard to illustrate. It's like, it's not the difference between Yuji and Nanami in speed, right? It's closer to what Naobito did to Maki perception-wise in Shibuya. She just was incapable of seeing him start moving. And even Nanami would be susceptible to the same thing where he's like, what the like, huh? It would just be Sakamoto takes a step, right? And from Nanami's perception, the dude in front of him just disappeared, and now a pen is, you know, in his rib cage or something. You know what I mean? It's like you have to orchestrate some really, really high level strategy in order to even have Sakamoto put in a position where that is possible. It's a very tough situation for Nanami to be in, because he is not one of those characters that benefits from complex curse techniques. Like his thing, in essence, makes him hit harder. Okay, Sakamoto's fought motherfuckers that hit really hard too. That's not really new to his fighting style or his approach to battle.
If
it's gonna be
Nanami
like
had
some
reverse
Kentaka
curse
blitzes
technique or something, this would be like a different conversation entirely, I feel like.
Yeah, you're then just prolonging it, which is something that I think Sakamoto Days characters would also probably have trouble with. Anybody that can just keep healing any of the damage that they take, especially for someone that goes non-lethal like Sakamoto, where you're just gonna get like head trauma and bruising and broken bone. Like, that's going to be relatively simple for RCT to fix. If Nanami had that in his kit, we would probably be having a slightly different conversation. The fight at the bare minimum is more prolonged than what it would be here.
So let's remove that, and then let's roll these wheels one more time. We're at 14 and 14, 1 and 1. We've got up next, what an interesting matchup. I swear to God, I've seen this. This is literally just a plot line in Tekken at this point. We got Liu Xiaotang versus Panda.
Okay.
Obviously, if you were to give Liu anywhere of a semblance of speed similar to, you know, Sakamoto Days characters in general, Panda is one of those characters that just loses in the speed department in all categories. The thing with Panda, though, is this is a Panda that was able to survive, I think, Ultimate Mechamaru's, I think it's like Ultimate or Ultra Cannon Albatross, that literally like took out an entire section of the entire forest of the exchange event when they were fighting. And Panda not only lived to tell the tale, but was able to then go gorilla mode and then also completely break Ultimate Mechamaru's puppet without any problems at all. So I think the real issue here is, especially when you have the consideration that Panda can just change form, I just don't think Liu would be able to do any actual damage to Panda. She just has no actual attack potency feat.
Liu is kind of in a similar situation to Panda, where her scaling relative to the verse is really bad, especially in base. Right, give her some alcohol that kind of changes. Like, in terms of her martial arts ability and like general physical stats, she has no way to locate any of Panda's cores, which are, aside from obliterating his body, the only way to take him out or make him lose any of his 3 lives. I feel like one drumming beat is going to put her out of commission. A drumming beat, and it's like, all right, you can't block that with normal durability. Your normal durability probably wouldn't be great enough to deal with it anyway. once again, pretty bad scaling. So I do think Panda he wins off of not being able to be defeated, lose not locating the cores. Any straight hit is probably putting her out of commission or injuring her to a point to where Panda can just handle that from there.
Yeah, Lu kind of suffers from just overall just like getting left behind. Shin, I don't know how much better Shin would do against Panda, but like Shin has just gotten so many more power-ups. Shin has his precognition now. He has so much that would just help him a lot more. Like there's just nothing that we can even say in regards to Lu. She's just forgotten. All right, let's roll these one more time. Of all people, I'm surprised Panda got the W, but
yeah, no, Panda is, it's a very matchup based. Yeah,
we're neck and neck here. Let's see. We've got oh shit. We've got Nanami coming back for seconds. Okay, let's see.
They want another one.
I don't know if this one's gonna go well for him either. We've got a Kumanomi.
Oh yeah.
That's a tough one. That's a very tough one for Nanami. I mean, because I just feel like Kumanomi's just so easily able to just overwhelm a character like Nanami, especially like when you consider all Nanami has is his little blunt blade.
Yeah, that better not have metal wrapped underneath, by the way.
Oh no.
Or that's just hers. My big thing with Kumanomi is she's not very physically strong, right? That is in Nanami's favor. If you can just brute force a lot of what's coming your way, you will probably do well. My big thing is that Nanami also doesn't strike me as like resilient. Not to say that he can't like fight through bad injuries, because he does, like after getting like Jogo'd. Okay, Kumanomi gets boat motors and then like slams them through Nanami's back, right? Off guarding him once again. What's he gonna do about that? Yeah. Really?
What's Nanami gonna do with like multiple nails piercing his actual brain? Like Hyo like really sets a standard of like the amount of like damage that a character from Sakamoto Days is at least an order level character is able to just handle. Nanami has definitely higher durability than probably a character like Hyo, but
I think it would be a pretty high diff fight for her. Like I think it would go similar to how it went with Hyo. Like Nanami's probably taking an arm with him. You know what I mean? Especially in overtime, right? If we're giving him that buff, where he's just like rushing through and gets off maybe an attack or two. Obviously, she has ways of like dealing with limb loss. Hey, let me get some metal to replace that, right? But I mean, don't let it be in any area reminiscent of Shibuya, right? Don't let there be cars. Don't let there be, street lamps. Don't let there be anything like that, because that's just not gonna be really a really good thing. And for sorcerers of comparable level, say someone like Megumi in the Culling games, we know that even Reggie, another like grade 1 level opponent, he views dropping and like launching trucks and shit as like a viable option to take a motherfucker out. Yuji can deal with that pretty well. But Yuji is also like unusually tough, right? And it's something that like even when Yuta like tosses a car back at him, it kind of like deters him. He doesn't just, oh yeah, it's just a car. You know what I mean? It's whatever.
Catches him off guard. He's surprised someone can do like what he can.
Yeah, exactly. Like if Kumanomi just launching like 3, 4, 5 cars at him back to back, and like, okay, he cleaves through one, he cleaves through another. How many is he blocking? You know what I mean? Metal is very, very, very present in the modern day. I don't know how many he's got in terms of just blocking each and every attack. Kumanomi's not a super physical fighter, so I don't know if the speed difference would mean all that, but like it also does mean he's going to have a harder time landing blows on her. But yeah, I do think once again his simplistic fighting style gets him a better outcome than fighting Sakamoto. I'll definitely say that, but I do think that she would probably win by the end of it.
I completely agree. The biggest difference in power is just Kumanomi just has the area of effect ability, and like you said, like she's canonically able to throw full-on Mack trucks just like Reggie Star is through buildings and into her opponents on top of everything else that she can do. And I think it's important, and I'm glad that you brought it up, what we kind of mentioned in our Toji versus Sakamoto Days video when Kumanomi came up, where the battle really does also depend completely on where it's taking place. Because if they were to take place in like a desert per se, where Kumanomi does have absolutely no access to any metal, or even if we were to take, Nanami's blunt blade away, and it was just between Nanami barehanded versus Kumanomi barehanded. As you mentioned, Kumanomi isn't the greatest of a physical fighter. And if she doesn't have any metal around her, if you want to say this is 2-arm Kumanomi or 1-arm Kumanomi, that also makes a big difference, because she's not going to be able to use any metal to replace her abandoned arm. And Nanami's able to also use 7-3 with his bare fist, whereas Kumanomi will be completely disarmed, Nanami won't. So I guess the setting is also very important to decide where this battle is. I mean, this could just as easily become a very disadvantageous fight for Kumanomi as it could become for Nanami.
The way I view it, though, is just like there are going to be, on average, more situations in which Kumanomi will be in a place in which metal is available than not. You say a desert, right? You say like the middle of the ocean, and it's like, where else is Kumanomi going to not have anything that she can use or very quickly get to a location in which those things are readily available? You're in Shibuya, a lot of that is your now weapon. Where Kumanomi fought Hyo, obviously same thing. I think more often than not, she probably is able to get a win, but there are specific contexts in which Nanami does like embarrass her. Like no metal around, okay, Nanami, get you that easy win, brother.
This is interesting because it's honestly, I didn't expect it to go 1-for-1 like this. We're only 4 battles in, but still, it's an interesting trend. All right, let's roll these. We're at 13 and 13. We're even so far now. Oh no, damn, bro, they had to do it to him. So Choso, our favorite brother, our favorite, just up against Takamura.
Oh, yikes!
The
that is unfortunate.
Tone immediately.
Yeah, I was thinking, man, there's not that many people that make Choso look like that, bro. That one is tough. Unfortunate.
Obviously, before we go into it, Choso's got flowing red scale. He's got really good durability. I mean, this man's able to tank multiple punches from Itadori Yuji, who, I mean, you could probably say is probably throwing more power behind his punch than Takamura's slashing. Although Takamura isn't no slouch. This is the same man that literally cut the Tokyo Tower in half just to stop it from slanting. Choso's going to be able to endure a lot of, Takamura's hits. Takamura might not be slicing through Choso in one go.
For example, right, when Sukuna blitzes Choso at the start of the fight, he pierces his stomach with a regular attack. But later in that same battle, after Sukuna is already recovering from, I think it's 2 black flashes, Sukuna then hits Choso with a black flash of his own, and Choso, because he's able to get his guard up, use his technique, and amplify himself with cursed energy, is able to survive it without significant damage, right? Like, it hurts, obviously, but compare him getting a hand through the chest to him being able to react visually and then like put his guard up, and the difference is night and day. So if like the difference in durability on a blitz is that much for someone like Choso, I feel like Takamura will probably one-shot him is crazy, but I do think that Choso is it's a matter of how quickly you think Takamura wins, not does he win, because it's just maybe like Choso's not dumb, right? He's pretty quick on the uptake in some regards. Maybe if he realizes, hey man, this guy just reacts to bloodlust, that could help him out a little bit. I honestly don't know if I see him realizing that in the heat of battle in a one-on-one. Like his ability to heal and coagulate his blood, very useful, very helpful. But I mean, I think there would be a limit to that. If Yuta spamming RCT in fighting Uro and Ishigori makes his curse energy plummet, I can only imagine what that does for Choso. I used it 5 times in quick succession. Shit. Like, I know I have half my cursed energy. That's great.
The worst part is like things like Piercing Blood, Supernova, like all of Choso's projectile and long-range attacks that would normally give him advantage against Takamura completely get just chopped in half by the speed advantage that Takamura clearly has. I mean, Takamura is doing a pretty good job of keeping track of like 3 top-tier opponents. Just literally all 3 of them the whole time are like, what the fuck is going on? What is wrong with this old man? Like, Takaba is just cutting through Piercing Blood. He's cutting through Supernova before Choso can even blink. The biggest thing, as we mentioned, is Choso's stamina for sure, but how long is that stamina going to last? Like, how many times is Choso going to be able to use reverse curse technique or heal himself before Takamura just reduces Choso to 0 cursed energy and just actually kills him? You also have, like Ronan said, a perception blitz attack is going to do 10 times more damage than an attack that Choso is able to see coming, so Takamura has that going for him. Even let's say Choso gets blitzed, he gets hurt very badly. If Choso is able to survive a decent amount, or even let's say that Choso is able to achieve this result even after death, do you think the poison blood, obviously he does this against Naoya, that's how he stops Naoya from basically blitzing and causing the same kind of thing. If Choso just summons a giant wave of blood that Takamura can't escape from, does the poison, give Takamura an L?
Big thing would be that it has to, like, Choso can use the blood to manipulate it and, like, weigh him down, but it has to, like, enter Takamura's body in some way. Like with Supernova, like it blows up, pierces him, the blood poisons him, blah blah blah. Same thing with like piercing blood with Arame. I just don't in any world see Supernova or piercing blood landing on Takamura, in all honesty. I just don't see a situation in which that really happens. When you look at somebody like, say, Kenjaku, right? Probably still isn't as fast as him, but has a similar level of like speed difference to where piercing blood is a non-factor. Supernova is pretty much usually a non-factor. Choso's able to set up conditions to which he is able to, put Kenjaku in a pretty tough position. Kenjaku doesn't have like trouble reacting to the attack itself. He's just very hell-bent on not using his arsenal and not taking him seriously. In Takamura's case, he doesn't strike me as the "I'll hold back for your sake" kind of assassin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Last thing before we give Takamura the W, I'm just curious. When Choso basically just soaks Naoya's clothes completely into blood and then just hardens it, do you foresee that possibly being something that Choso could do to like eliminate or at least lessen the speed advantage?
I could see it being an option. If it were a catch-all strategy, he would have just like, all right, let the blood flow and I'll just weigh down Kenjaku with my blood, right? The reason he doesn't is because I just don't think that strategy applies for characters not with Naoya's mentality, and also in any environment that isn't super restrictive.
I like I said, I think the only W you could consider Choso getting would be like if it's like an after death. Choso's like, haha, I got my blood inside of you, and Takamura is like, oh shit, like keels over like a day later or something like that from the poison.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Takamura is just an absolute fucking, just a G. I don't think there's ever been anyone that does it like him before. This is probably the closest, most even randomizer we've ever done, I think. Ever done.
100%.
Let's do this one more time. Let's see what's going on. Thankfully, we can take Takamura off the goddamn wheel. The Jujutsu Kaisen will thank us later. Okay. Interesting. So we've got your boy Megumi. And honestly, this is crazy because this is a matchup that I literally said I wish Gege did. Kamihate.
Ooh, this is really interesting. I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of like this one. I'm curious what context you said you wanted to see it though. For like a military sort of. Oh, I do remember that. I think right. Like,
exactly. Yeah. Like I said, like I think like Yuji and Megumi should have had one last duo fight before, unfortunately things happened. I think that would have been cool for like a sniper fight. So I would love to see Megumi's brain and his Shikigami and the different things that he can do, doing his best to try and outsmart just a fucking masterclass sniper. Unfortunately, that masterclass sniper had to be fucking Kamihate of all people, which I think is a level above any military sniper that would have been present in the Culling game arc. But
100%. I think there are kind of like two scenarios. One in which Kamihate is in character and he's sniping like he normally would. Megumi just dies. Like he just gets sniped and Megumi's like, oh, what the fuck? Bullet. Damn.
Megumi doesn't even know he's being hunted. He's just dead.
He's just walking, blah, 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 right? Whatever. He just gets cooked. Second scenario, it's sort of like it's like he knows, all right, bro, there's a sniper, don't really know where he is, blah, blah, blah. I think, honestly, this is a really fun battle, specifically because, like you said, the strategy would be very, very interesting. I do think Megumi has a lot of things in his arsenal that, if not counters, are pretty damn close. Like Rabbit Escape for me is like a godsend in any sniper fight, because at any moment completely obfuscates him as a target. He can set anything up in that. I mean, Toji gets through it via instinct, right? Kamihate, as far as we know so far, you know what I mean? This may age poorly, does not have like sniper precog or whatever. I think we agree if Megumi gets anywhere close, I mean, he just wins, right? Like that's not really in contention. It's a matter of getting close. New Way's kind of cool. Divine Dog would honestly just be what he probably uses to finish the fight. I don't know if it would be the most applicable thing in this specific instance. It's kind of difficult because we haven't seen Kamihate fight a person super bent on getting close. Like we've only seen him fight another sniper who is fine at fighting at long range, whereas Megumi doesn't have any techniques that work at that distance. very effectively.
What's most interesting, and just to explain too for anybody that's confused as to like why like this one's even so close for like an order level member assassin like Kamihate. The thing with Kamihate is because he's just strictly a sniper, even if you were to say his physical body would be able to move at like the same speeds as most of the Sakamoto Days characters, because he's just sitting in one spot and sniping, he's completely restricted to how quick his bullets move, which is a very reasonable speed for Megumi to deal with things. It's not like he's going to be getting completely perception blitzed like a lot of the other characters would be doing to a character like Megumi. The 10 Shadows technique is such a versatile thing that, combined with a character like Megumi's brain, definitely gives him a lot of options where like in any other instance, like you have things like Nue that can raise Megumi where he can fly upwards or downwards or move himself behind buildings, or he also has, as you mentioned, Rabbit Escape that work perfectly to hide him or get him out of the way of certain bullets. Even if you have things like Chimera Shadow Garden that need need an outside barrier or something that can keep it from keeping their enemy stuck within, if Megumi is just casting it, you also know how Megumi has like shadow clones or things like that. It's possible that like if Megumi can cast Chimera Shadow Garden and then potentially have one of his Shikigami like sneak up on Kamihate, he can make Kamihate think that Megumi's pinned down in one area and he's gunning Megumi down, or make him think that he's actually got a headshot on Megumi, and then next thing he knows, he goes, I finished it, and just like Reggie, Divine Dog's coming up right behind Kamihate and just ripping off half of his body because Divine Dog finally was able to get to where Kamihate is and sniff him out. We also know that Megumi can be very far away from his Shikigami, specifically with how we see in the exchange event, he's lending Inumaki, one of the Divine Dogs, to help while Megumi's completely fighting a different opponent completely far away. Like this is really a battle of the minds more than it is a physical battle.
Also, like an underrated ability, I mean, hide in his shadow if he needs to get, like, if he needs some time to strategize. It's just like something he does. There are a bunch of options in which it's very reasonable for him to be able to deal with it. I mean, you even have his Tochigami, which have no real attack prowess, but like they have pretty decent range in like grabbing himself or enemies. He does it with Awasaka to like fling him all over the place. And he even, like, out of any matchup Megumi could have gotten, this is probably one of the better ones. It is playing the game at a cerebral level for him, and that's probably like his best stat. So I actually do think that Megumi would be able to get a win here. Although in very Megumi fashion, bro is definitely like, he's probably taking a bullet. Probably going like, I'm getting hit at some point during this. What does he have Nue cover? 2 kilometer radius or some shit like that when they first enter the Culling games in order to try to find Yuji. And even if Nue gets shot, it doesn't really matter because Nue takes a lot of damage. Nanami stabs Nue through its wings or whatever. An entry wound much larger than a bullet, and you know that didn't disappear from his arsenal. So I think overall he's just like very well equipped to deal with a sniper.
Yeah, I think Megumi's brain wins him the fight in this situation, especially for one, just based off the fact that if Megumi could get close enough, who says Megumi can't just traverse the shadow and just literally just grab Kamihate from his ankle and pull him into the shadow and he's done. There's just more win cons for Megumi than there is for Kamihate, believe it or not.
Megumi kind of like shits on Reggie for thinking that knives to the face would be enough to take it out. And it seems to be pretty consistent that most of his Shikigami need to be like obliterated. Not that they're super durable, but more so the quality of damage they need to take is really high. One of his Divine Dogs gets their head cut off and then gets reincarnated. Orochi gets dismantled and cleaved all the way down and gets like eliminated. But generally speaking, they can take quite a bit of damage. One of them just gets taken out. Okay, well, you just now made one of my other Shikigami stronger. Appreciate you.
I feel very comfortable giving this one to Megumi here. I feel like most other people probably would not have as easy of a time as with Kamihate. Kind of a very interesting matchup, I feel like.
For sure. Yeah.
That is the end of part 1, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to both me and Ronan, and comment below to let us know you want that next part. See you guys in the next video. Peace.